Every year, tons of people get just as fired up about the commercials as they do about the game. This year, advertisers, they're paying as much as $5 million for a 30-second spot. Here's a look at some of the hot Super Bowl ads.
Miss Monroe,
making an appearance at the Super Bowl this year, Marilyn Monroe.
Much better.
Richard.
Christopher Walken.
Are you looking for these?
And icon of TV shows past, Scott Baio.
Anybody want to feed Scott Baio? It's included in the price of admission.
Those just a few of the celebs appearing in ads airing during the game. Budweiser enlisted star power.
Hello, I'm Helen Mirren.
In a spot discouraging drunk driving.
You, simply put, are a short-sighted, utterly useless, oxygen-wasting human form of pollution.
we're moving on up.
Apartments.com has Jeff Goldblum scaling a high-rise building to bump into more famous folks.
Wait a minute, is that George and Wheezy?
Taco Bell is taking a different tack, using mystery to advertise something new.
Even the people in the commercial don't know what it is.
The ads star a green brick, and Avocados of Mexico has aliens touring a museum of earthly culture.
Just like we do. And this is the white and gold dress that caused the Civil War.
GMA went behind the scenes for the making, getting a glimpse of the game day pressure that ad execs face.
It's weird sitting there and like you watch the Super Bowl spot and then you just look down and you wait for 10 seconds to see what Twitter says. And then you're like, oh gosh, okay, we're good.
Suzanne Venezia, the Wall Street Journal's advertising editor. All right, we saw some of those spots, a couple of them. I get why people are talking about it, but at the end of the day, when the Super Bowl is over, what ad do you think is going to get the most buzz?
Well, I think it's going to be a hard call right now because what you have is you've got Coca-Cola, who's got a surprise ad in the game, and they've hooked up with Marvel franchise. And they have a long history of really great advertising. A couple of years ago, they had a tie-in with Charlie Brown at the Thanksgiving Day Parade, Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. It was superb. So that's one to watch for. Also, we just got word that Chrysler is back in the game, and they have a really great longevity of creative, really good, solid ads. Dirty Harry, M&M. So I would watch out for those two. Already, Budweiser's got definitely the lead in terms of buds out there. We've seen a bunch of them already released, and they're already sort of picking up steam even before the game airs.
That Heinz one looks kind of cute, right?
Heinz one's cute. They're basically like most advertisers, going safe, right?
Yeah.
There's no better way to win the Super Bowl with animals or babies or celebrities. And they've got those cute little hot dogs running across the field. It's really cute.
You know, you mentioned lose. I still hear people talking once in a while about that Nationwide ad where you had almost a Sixth Sense, where you see this cute kid on a bike and then talking about all the things he won't do, and then you realize at the end of it, the kid died. I mean, talk about a downer during the middle of a Super Bowl when you're looking around with family and friends.
It was completely a downer.
Right. Can you, some of the biggest historical winners and losers in terms of ads that were worth all the money these folks are shelling out?
Sure. I mean, clearly Nationwide misjudged it and fumbled last year. But what was bad was the ad was beautifully shot. It had a really strong point, like make sure your home is safe because kids die from accidents in the home. The problem is there was a lot of bad ads last year and a lot of dark ones, so there wasn't enough funny. So in the midst of a really down Super Bowl, here was one that was just really, really dark and really, really sad. So it just got the really double effect, double whammy. People hated it. But there's always one or two that go afoul, right? We had a couple years ago, Groupon totally messed up, insensitive ad that everybody thought was making fun of the plight of the Tibetan people. But you just don't ever know what's going to cause an eruption going in. I mean, I guess a decade or so ago, GM had an ad where a robot, a little assembly line robot, committed suicide. And that actually ended up getting pulled off the air after the Super Bowl because all the sort of groups against suicide were protesting. And it was like, wow, it's so strange what will sort of strike a nerve. And it's really tough right now because as we sort of progress in social media, it's such an easy way for people to sort of jump on the bandwagon and bash things. And so you just don't know what's going to go wrong on Super Bowl. And when it does, it gets amplified for days and days on end. Give me ones, though, that are the how-tos, ads that totally either got the product in the consciousness of the public, but also were so iconic, people did the publicity for the companies by how much they talked about them afterwards. Sure. I think Doritos has done a really good job. I mean, they keep it simple. First of all, they have consumers creating their ads, so it's like tying into this consumer-generated content side. They keep it basic and simple. It's really about, can you get your product in the middle of an ad and make it funny? Because that's what people really want to see. We talk to consumers at the Wall Street Journal throughout the evening, and you know what? It's great that you want to sell your product, but you have to come and do both things. You got to make sure it's worth it, get your product message in there, but it's got to be funny, and it's got to make you cry in a really good way. So that's the problem. I think Doritos has done it well. Anheuser-Busch has a great history, you know, always with those sappy Clydesdales, which people sort of gobble up. They really need a hit. Their sales are really off. Bud Light is looking really strong this year. I think they're finally getting some of their advertising mojo back. Amy Schumer is in that, and Seth Rogen, and that should be sort of a take on the political election, join the Bud Light party. Let's see if it helps sales. Last year, their sales were terrible, and the Super Bowl did not help. So I'd watch for that. I mean, they historically have been pretty strong. They're just trying to get it back on track now.
Alzheimer's, I've heard people talk about the Apple spot that was done a while back here as one of those that was iconic. What are the ones that hold up among time here as, like I said, all-timers?
Sure. I mean, definitely Apple, that changed the skew on how Super Bowl advertising is viewed. It's now like a media circus about the ads, and Apple helped establish that. I think VW did really well with the little mini Darth Vader ad. You've got Monsters.com. They were in the midst of that early 2000s. We called it the dot-com bowl with, you had the sock pupper and all them. Monster established itself with a really amazing ad that talked about little kids talking about what do they want to do when they grow up, and they were making fun of sort of like, I want to be a middle manager. It was quite unique and really definitely set them apart and help establish them as a reputable company out there.
Well, we shall see. Obviously, Sunday kickoff in the 6 o'clock hour. Suzanne, thank you so much for a few.
Thanks for having me.
And coming up next, we're going to have a look at some local headlines. Stay with us.